David Menzies for Rebel News here in Richmond Hill, Ontario. And folks, as you know, the municipal elections in Ontario are coming up on Monday. And there are many interesting and fascinating races, and one of them is right here in Ward 5 of Richmond Hill, which is to say the incumbent candidate running for re-election, that would be Karen Cilevitz. Well, she is notable because she's a convicted fraudster. And then we have one of the main challengers to Karen, a former friend, if you can imagine. That would be Richard Rupp, and he is a convicted fraudster. Maybe salvation comes in the form of Taryn Soroya. As you can see by his sign, he's declaring himself as the conservative candidate. That's refreshing to see. And what's more, he doesn't have any fraud conviction in his background. So I'm going to whip back to the studio where I will try to explain all. So folks, as we head toward Election Day on Monday, there are so many interesting electoral storylines in various cities and towns across the province of Ontario. For example, will Halton District School Board trustees supporting shop teacher Busty Lemieux be ousted from office due to their ghastly wokeism? And in Brampton, will Sneaky Patrick Brown actually get re-elected as mayor for a second term, despite all the corruption, cover-ups, and cronyism that has made the Flower City resemble Nicaragua North in recent years? Oh, and speaking of corruption, that brings me to Richmond Hill, and specifically the delusional Ward 5 councillor Karen Cilevitz. Now, Cilevitz, or syphilis, as Councillor Godwin Chan has called her, has a very, very checkered history. She received international media attention due to her unhinged voicemail to Steffi Goodfield, a stage 4 cancer survivor, a few years back. Steffi, you see, had the utter temerity to use the term Ward 5 when promoting a music event in Ward 5, and apparently Karen thinks she owns the trademark to the phrase Ward 5. Check out this gruesome voicemail excerpt.
Hi, Steffi. This is Karen. I've left you a text message, and I've left a message for Matt Bergman as well to call me back. I've just been informed that he's going to be naming your Sunday night music event at Archibald's the Ward 5 Music Jam or Music Fest, whatever it is he's going to be calling it. Please be advised that nobody but Richmond Hill councillors use the term ward in any event unless you are a councillor. If Matt Bergman and you, because you are York Region Open Mic and this is under your name, if you in any way name your event which does not have my sponsorship or my authority as the Ward 5 Music Jam at Archibald's on Sunday night, I will take legal action against both of you and your company. This is not a joke. I'm away for the weekend in Collingwood with Derek. I don't need this kind of aggravation. I don't need it from the likes of Matt Groupie, and I certainly don't need it from the likes of you. I don't know what it is that I've ever done to you or I've ever done to Matt Groupie. So you can let him listen to this if he doesn't have the balls to call me back. But be advised, Steffi, that if you in any way, or if Matt Bergman in any way calls your Sunday night jam at Archibald's the Ward 5 event, there is going to be serious problems that you are both going to have to deal with legally. Nobody does this. It is just not done. Only councillors who are elected to wards use that terminology. I would appreciate it if you call me back or you send me a text and you assure me that this has been taken care of by you as this is your event. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, by the way, with regards to Matt Bergman, Cilevitz went on to sue Bergman because he had hurt her feelings on social media or something. A decision was recently handed down in a court of law regarding that frivolous lawsuit, and par for the course, Karen lost. She now has to pay Bergman's legal fees. And that's going to be a stretch goal, folks, because Karen is allegedly hard up for cash these days. That's probably because she keeps getting fined for ethics code violations. Indeed, at one point, Cilevitz had been docked a whopping 315 days worth of pay due to several successful complaints filed against her to the City of Richmond Hill's Integrity Commissioner regarding Karen's egregious behavior. Now, that's quite the penalty, given that there's only 365 days in a year, of course. Even more recent, Ms. Cilevitz was convicted of fraud. Now, astute viewers might recall that we recently aired an exclusive interview with the person she had hoodwinked. That would be Patty Burton Garcia. You see, Patty was hired by Cilevitz to work as a part-time assistant for the councillor beginning in the summer of 2019. Her salary was $25,000, and Patty was paid approximately $900 every 2 weeks. But starting from the day Patty received her first paycheck, things took a perverse twist. Namely, Cilevitz informed Patty that she and her boyfriend, Derek Christie, would be taking the lion's share of Patty's paycheck, typically about $800 every 2 weeks. Eventually, Cilevitz and Christie dinged Patty for some $21,000. In other words, more than 80% of our actual earnings. I think this is known as extortion. But things came to an ugly head around tax time the following year. Patty was informed by her accountant that because on paper she was earning that full salary, she therefore owed the Canada Revenue Agency about $4,000. She was stunned. And when Patty told Cilevitz about the impending tax hit, the councillor allegedly responded with 3 words: "Not my problem."
I've never had in my whole career, not paying more than $200. But when I saw that,
Yeah, so now you're not working for a pittance. It's like you're in negative territory. You're underwater.
Still paying for it because of that. Because of that, I became not bankrupt, but an insolvency. Having a trustee cutting up three credit cards.
Are you thinking of any kind of civil litigation?
No, I need peace. I mean, I have a good police pension, but with that other problem, this problem, I'm not happy, but I'm content because I'm paying my bills, but with grave difficulty, and being with a trustee at this stage of my game when I came from a very good, reputable job.
Well, not only is Karen a fraudster, folks, she's also stupid, because that response understandably turned an ally into an enemy as Patty reached out to law enforcement. Cilevitz was found guilty of fraud under $5,000 and was forced to pay back the money to the City of Richmond Hill. So all of her chicanery was really for nothing. We did reach out to Karen Cilevitz to get her side of the story, even visiting her condominium, but she declined to comment. She won't speak to Rebel News. Oh, she has all the time in the world for the tragically named Richmond Hill Liberal, though. Draw your own conclusions there. And she's all over social media, boo-hooing her plight. Check out this statement, quote, "Over the past 4.5 years, I have been on the receiving end of ongoing hateful and hate-filled bullying and enduring abusive and malicious treatment, including cyberbullying on Facebook," end quote. Oh, there's been bullying these past 4.5 years, all right. Case in point, the Steffi Goodfield incident and the failed frivolous lawsuit against Matt Bergman. Oh, and all those ethics code violations. You know, she's truly the female version of Patrick Brown. Break the rules and then play the victim card once you're caught. Now, interestingly, a candidate running against Cilevitz in Ward 5 is Richard Rupp. And that's very interesting because he used to be a friend of Karen's. Earlier this year, Cilevitz even nominated Rupp as the candidate to fill the then-vacant Ward 4 seat. But that was then, and this is now, as allies have become adversaries. It should be noted that Mr. Rupp has something in common with Cilevitz. You see, and I'm not making this up, he too is a convicted fraudster. YorkRegion.com reports that between 1996 and 2001, he used some accounts to file 652 false GST returns and receive fraudulent GST refunds totaling more than $200,000. He used names and social insurance numbers of other people to register some of the accounts, according to the CRA. Now, Rupp was sentenced to a conditional sentence of 2 years less a day for unlawfully making false or deceptive statements and willfully obtaining GST funds to which he was not entitled. Ouch. Then again, maybe some people might think he is a hero for trying to rip off the taxman. You know, like that scene in Fun with Dick and Jane when this New Age Bonnie and Clyde duo actually receive applause from bystanders when they rob Ma Bell.
Hey, they're holding up the telephone company.
See how Dick and Jane changed their life.
But alas, folks, it's a moot point, even if the target of a caper is a loathsome entity, be it theft or fraud, still a crime. Now, I did reach out to Mr. Rupp about his fraudulent past, and he seemed to take a page out of Karen's playbook, namely, it was all a misunderstanding.
Well, I think there's a big difference between the two because mine was 15 years ago, and it's relating to something that dates back to 1996. And admittedly, I made a mistake. I misinterpreted the rules back then. It wasn't desiring me to do something like that. I misinterpreted the rules when I filed the tax returns. But the difference is I've admitted that I made a mistake. I've learned from the mistake. That the mistake was decades ago, and there's no checkered path since then.
So in any event, we have not one, but two convicted fraudsters running for Ward 5 in Richmond Hill. Fascinating. You know, it reminds me of the tagline from the 2004 film, Aliens versus Predator. But talk about trouble in paradise. You see, the scuttlebutt is that Cilevitz allegedly said she wasn't running for re-election this year, and then she went on to register to run on the last possible day. Her strategy, apparently, is that Rupp and the other 9 candidates running for Ward 5 will split the vote, allowing her to achieve victory by going up the middle. That's why she probably threw Rupp under the bus. Oh, and so much for the old saying, honor among thieves. So it might just be that the white knight for Ward 5 is Taryn Soroya. He is not scandal-plagued, and he wears his politics on his shirt sleeves. Namely, he's a conservative, and the C word even adorns his signage. Come October 24th, it will be fascinating to see how this riding swings. I'll tell you one thing for sure. If an unethical bully/fraudster like Karen Cilevitz gets reelected, my faith in democracy is going to be shattered. In fact, I might just have to embrace an opinion that Justin Trudeau espouses. Namely, I might have to concur with Prime Minister Blackface McGroper that there is indeed much to admire about China's basic dictatorship when it comes to, getting things done. For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies.